Get your ears wrapped around the Golden State Media Concepts Basketball Podcast. All the scoop you need to know from college basketball to the NBA and even March Madness. News of your rising stars. Topics on and off the hardwood. This is the Golden State Media Concepts Basketball Podcast.
Podcast brought to you by the GSMC Podcast Network. I am your host, Lawrence Dotto. And guys, ladies, I am so excited to be your new host of this show. I am ready to go on this journey with everyone that's going to be listening, and I'm ready to talk some basketball right now. The first thing we're going to talk about is the New York Knicks. Man, what a train wreck, guys, right? I mean, they hire Fizdale, they fire him. They don't even give the guy enough time to even turn the franchise around. The guy was still trying to fix Phil Jackson's mistakes, and then turn around and just fire the guy? Come on, that's not right. The team is very, very, very poorly put together. They had all this money this offseason, and for whatever reason, whoever's in charge said, you know what we should do, guys? Let's sign 4 power forwards. Yeah, that's a good idea. Yeah, let's do that. Let's sign 4 power forwards. I mean, I really like the signing of Julius Randle. I like Bobby Portis. And that was pretty much it. I mean, they drafted RJ Barrett. The guy's a stud. I think he's going to take plenty of time to develop. I mean, those one-year guys are tough to kind of predict. But I think the guy should be fine. And the thing is, when you get these rookies, you need to put some kind of talent around them. You know what I mean? If you don't put any talent around these guys, how do you expect them to develop? You can't honestly expect these guys to develop if you just put average players around them. Because when they need help, when they need anything, and there's nothing there, what do you expect this rookie to do? I mean, he played 1 year at Duke. He wasn't even the best player at Duke, which wasn't his fault. I mean, most years the guy would have been the best player in Duke. And now you're putting him around guys like Marcus Morris and Kevin Knox, who are fine players, but they're not going to help him develop. They're trying to get theirs. They're just, when you have a bad team and a team full of, they have a mix of veteran players and then they have a mix of very young and inexperienced players. Those older players, they're trying to get contracts. They're not trying to help these young guys, especially when you're that bad. They have the worst record in the NBA right now. You think Marcus Morris is going to be like, hey, come here, I'm going to come help you, bro. Come here, yeah, I'll show you how to, get around this double team or something. No, this guy's going to be like, you know what, I got to get mine, man. I'm making $15 million a year. I don't want this to be a last year I make, 7 digits or 8 digits. I want to keep making my money. And then, again, I love the Julius Randle signing. He's a guy 25 years old. He's a guy who you give him the ball, he's going to give you buckets, but some nights it's going to be ugly, some nights it's going to be great, and right now it's looking pretty good for him. They're looking pretty good. I mean, what else do they got here in this roster? They got 15 point guards. They got Frank Nicotella, Elfrid Payton, Dennis Smith Jr. Who set this team up? They have very little shooting guards and small forwards. It's like, come on, guys, what are you doing? Now they had Alonzo Trey, who, I said his last name wrong. He's a pretty decent player, and then they have the Kevin Knox who barely plays. Remember last year when he was a thing and everyone was like, oh, Kevin Knox, rookie of the year. Now it's like, Kevin Knox is a role player now. The guy's 20 years old, he's 6'7". Give the guy a chance. They almost refuse to play Barrett and Knox on the court at the same time. I mean, why would you want to develop your 2 young studs together? I mean, I think that's what I would try to do, wouldn't you? I mean, and then I like the Mitchell Robinson, but he's a little overhyped. He's gonna want a big payday, and you almost have to in a couple of years. But a defensive big man who kind of struggles scoring the ball, I mean, if this was the early 2000s, late 1990s, it'd be great, but defensive big men who are slow just kind of struggle a little bit. Again, I like the kid. I think he's got talent, but when you don't have the coaching there to hold the players responsible, it turns into a fiasco, and this is what happened. Everyone loved Fizdale. He was, this player's coach and everything, and then after a while, it's when they're not winning, it's, we don't want a player's coach. We want someone to develop these guys. We want someone that's going to come here and, turn around the New York Knicks in a year and a half. But guess what, guys? This team's not getting turned around in a year and a half. You need to be patient, you need to rebuild, and you need to actually go through the process. Now, the biggest thing for the Knicks now, in my opinion, is they need a coach and somebody that's going to hold the players responsible. There's quite a few coaching candidates out there that can really help them. The first one that I really think that they should go out and hire is probably Jason Kidd. It sounds weird. I know he got fired from Milwaukee, but you guys got to remember, when a lot of these coaches, when they get fired, they build a team and then success happens. It can go two ways. Were they bad because Jason Kidd was there, or did they just not give him enough time to really develop the players? Jason Kidd right now, LA Lakers bench coach for Frank Vogel. I like Jason Kidd. He's a guy that he may not be the best X's and O's guys, but he's somebody that's going to, develop a point guard very well. He's very basketball smart, but IQ's drawing up plays, he's not that guy. But that's why you have 5 assistants on your team. You hire a guy, you say, hey, you make the plays, I'll be the guy that puts the lineups together and do the game plan together. You just make up the plays, draw the inbound plays, and make me look smart. And that's what a lot of the assistant coaches in the NBA are. They're just extensions of the head coach that do something that the coach doesn't have the strength in. Another guy, which would probably be the most popular of New York fans, is Mark Jackson. For whatever reason, they hired Fizdale over Jackson in the first interview process, which I thought was a mistake. I mean, Mark Jackson is New York basketball. He's the guy that you want there. And they went with Fizdale. Again, I don't mind Fizdale. I think Fizdale is going to be a better assistant coach. And there's nothing wrong with that. If you're a better assistant coach, just be a better assistant coach. We see it all the time in the NFL, the NBA. When you get these guys that are great assistants, and then you put them into a head coaching role, it just changes everything. When you have to be the guy that's responsible for everything and developing, the key players, it's a big responsibility than just being, an offensive specialist, a defensive specialist, or whatever happens. So Mark Jackson, I think people forget, he built that Golden State roster team. He was the guy that built that team, not Steve Kerr. Mark Jackson did. Mark Jackson got fired because they wanted somebody else in and they didn't like the way. A lot of things got weird with Mark Jackson and Golden State. A lot of it had to do with him holding religious, gatherings and expecting players to go there. If they didn't go there, he'd kind of throw a fit because he wanted everyone to kind of be there religiously together, and the ownership just didn't really enjoy that, and that's a shame. I'm not a huge religious guy myself, but when a coach is trying to bring players in and the team in, that's something that they should really embrace. So those are the top 2 guys that I really like, Jason Kidd and Mark Jackson. They're kind of the obvious choices, but come on, it's the Knicks. You're not getting anyone else if you're bringing in a small name or a lifetime assistant coach. You want to bring in an NBA legend, bringing in a point guard who's borderline Hall of Fame, and Jason Kidd. Well, Jason Kidd is going to be a Hall of Famer. Mark Jackson, Mark Jackson grew up in New York, was New York basketball. Knicks. I know it's hard when James Dolan running the show. The guy can be a clown when it comes to basketball, but they really need to bring in a name, a face, somebody that you can build your team around. People want to play for these legends, and they want to learn from them. You have 4 point guards on your roster. You're telling me you're not going to bring in a guy who used to be an NBA point guard and a very good one? It just doesn't make any sense. The names are there. People still think that New York is a mecca of basketball. And remember, so people are signing with the Nets now? Are you kidding me? If I told you 5 years ago that 2 of the top 10 players in the NBA would sign with the Nets over the Knicks, I would laugh at you. Like, come on, get out of my face. But that's what's happening now because the ownership has built something where they just built a good foundation in the coaching staff and the players and the assistants, and that makes a big difference. It might not to a lot of people, but trust me, it really does. Knicks need to hire a head coach, and they need to start holding their players accountable. So before we get moving on, guys, I want you guys to like, review, and subscribe. Not really like, but on Facebook, Twitter, please like the show's links. Please leave a review. That really helps me out. And subscribe to it, guys. I want to know how I'm doing. I want to know what I can improve on and what I can do. Now, coming up next, we're going to talk about, can the Lakers really keep this up with AD and LeBron carrying them? We'll be back, guys.
Are you looking for the very best NFL and college football podcast? Then check out the GSMC Football Podcast. Get the latest football news both on and off the field. From the NFL Draft to trades to the rumor mill to the NFL Combines. They got you covered. That's GSMCpodcast.com/football-podcast. Get updates on college rivalries, game day insights, and much, much more. It's football talk the way you want it. This show eats, sleeps, and breathes football. Don't forget to like them on Facebook and follow them on Twitter. Visit GSMCpodcast.com for more info.
And we are back. So we just talked about the New York Knicks, the mecca of basketball, and how they can turn this team around. We're going to start talking about the Lakers a little bit. The Lakers are in a great position on paper, but I am a little worried about them. Let me tell you why. So you have a 33-year-old LeBron James who's still probably the best all-around player in basketball, which is amazing. This is why you brought this guy in. This is who he is. And this is why you want these young players around them. The one problem is you had all these young players, and now you traded them for Anthony Davis, who was a free agent at the end of this year. So they probably could have waited a year on that and kept all their young players. But we won't talk about that. They need a third option to step up. And a lot of it is going to be Kyle Kuzma and hoping he can develop the way that they want him to. The problem is he's really not 100% yet. He's still got a knee injury that he's battling back from. He's still got to get his conditioning back. That's one of the big things that people don't remember is when you get hurt, and especially if it's a leg, your conditioning's not back. You can't really do much on the court, and it can be very frustrating for players. And now when he's coming back and he's going to be the third option, it's hard for him to get his shots up because when you're playing limited time and you're going to be on the court with AD and LeBron at the same time, the shots may not be there for you. And I think Kuzma is going to be a stud. I've always liked him. I might be a Kyle Kuzma truther. I might think he's better than he actually is. But I think he could be a great third option for this team. Now, when you look at the Lakers roster, it's a bunch of aging players that were good at one point and maybe fell off the map a little bit. But I do like this team. I just don't think they're best team in the NBA good. And that's where the hype is going right now. Again, there's nothing wrong with being a very good team. You don't have to be the best team in the regular season. You know what? You probably don't want to be the best team in the regular season because the expectations are so high. Everything is just magnified. And I mean, right now the team, they're 21-3. They basically have one more win than Milwaukee. And 10-2 at home and 11-1 away is pretty impressive. That's an impressive mark that they're going on the road and winning. They have the highest differential in scoring points and opponents' points. They scored 114 points a game, only giving up 104. They're playing pretty solid defense, but ever since Avery Bradley went down, they went from the number 1 efficient, maybe the number 2 efficient team to like the 13th to 14th, and that's a big difference when you go from elite to average. And that's one thing that's concerning me. You're relying this much on Avery Bradley. It's kind of like, man, I don't know. Avery Bradley in Boston, when he was locked down people and talked junk to people and get in people's faces, it was kind of like, ooh, all right, I like this guy. Now he's he's getting a little older. His offensive game is pretty much gone at this point. And Playing with LeBron, it does things for players' careers. It could bring back his offense. I just wouldn't be too excited about it. Lakers, I like them. I like them a lot. I love AD. I love LeBron. It's a two-man show. There's only two guys on this team three guys if you include Kuzma, that are averaging double-digit points, and that scares me a little bit when it comes down to if AD gets in foul trouble. Lakers fans haven't seen this yet, but AD used to literally go in the locker room every other quarter in the NBA because he got hurt, he'd get banged up, he'd fall, he'd get hit, and everything, and it was just like, oh, dude, just stay in the game. And now it's like, wow, this guy's invincible. He's gone out a couple times, but it's like, wow, this guy's big, he's strong, and this is the guy that you want, and you do want him. But when he's the main guy, and LeBron's the main guy, which is what you want, you need that third option. It's shown time after time after time in the finals. You have Steph, you have Clay, you have KD. For Toronto last year, you had Kawhi, who was obviously the man, but you needed two other people to step up, and Siakam stepped up. Fred VanVleet stepped up, and then you would have Danny Green step up in random times, and that's what the Lakers need. The Lakers need that Danny Green to come up in big games and say, hey, I'm here, let's do this. I'll hit some threes for you, I'll lock down the opposing player's best offensive player, and then we can just go and start winning some games. But man, you're telling me I have to trust Rajon Rondo, who's 33, Danny Green, who is a very good defender, but goes missing on the offensive side of the ball. Avery Bradley is the same thing, very good defender, goes missing on the offensive side of the ball. You put those, so if you have a lineup of Rondo, Bradley, Green, with LeBron and AD in the final 5 minutes of the game, two people can hurt you offensively. And as long as Danny Green isn't wide open in the corner, he's not going to hurt you. And it scares me. You need that third option, and it's just not there right now. I mean, if Boogie Cousins was healthy, oh, love this team. Boogie Cousins was the X factor for me. When he signed with them, they could want Boogie, AD, LeBron, bring Kuzma off the bench, or even play Kuzma in the final seconds of the final minutes of the game, let LeBron run the point. Oh, that's a beautiful team. But when you're missing that one key player, I don't know, guys. That's scary. That's so scary to me. I like McGee. I'm a huge JaVale McGee fan. Probably too big of a fan. And he's the guy that you bring in there for 20 minutes a game. He'll get you 2 to 3 blocks. He'll get you a bunch of rebounds. He'll give you some highlight dunks. He gives you energy. Love the guy. He's the perfect fit for LA. He's the one that he was a little bit of an underrated signing 2 years ago when he went from Golden State to LA. Again, you need that athletic big who can give you energy, come off the bench, block some shots, have some fun, always smiling, and that's what you need. And then they bring in Dwight Howard, again, another aging old guy. Not old, he's not 33, he's not old. Jeez, I'm 33. And I'm not really buying into the Dwight Howard hype train. Not yet. He's been so injury plagued over the last couple of seasons that you just don't want to see him just go through that again. But I think it's going to happen, unfortunately. He's just always hurt. And he's just shown over the years, especially, he's not Orlando Dwight Howard. All you Laker fans out there, listen up. He's not Orlando Dwight Howard. He's dreaded, ripped, shredded Dwight Howard, which is good for now, but don't expect him to play more than 18 minutes a night. Don't expect him to be that defensive anchor that your team needs. Him and JaVale McGee, you put them together, they make the perfect player. You play 1 for 24, you play 1 for 24. Don't let AD play the center. When those two, that's the key thing there. Do not let AD play center. The guy is only 6'8", 6'9". He's not a big dude. He's a good defensive guy. He's very aggressive. Right now, I think he's a defensive player of the year. But a lot of that has to do with him playing the power forward, not the center. He doesn't have to go against those big bruisers like, the Rudy Goberts or the Jokic out there. And you can put Dwight, you can put JaVale on him, and he doesn't have to play him the whole 48 minutes. Before we continue, guys, with the LA Lakers, I would like for you guys to like, subscribe, and leave a review on the podcast. Again, I want to know how I'm doing. Like, am I too monotone? Do I sound like a robot? Do you want me to get a little bit more hype? Do you want me to talk? What do you guys need for you to tune in every day? Tell me. Leave a review. Let my bosses know, hey, this guy's not that bad. You might want to keep him around for a little bit. Or, man, this guy's a clown. Get him out. Let me know. Let my boss know. So, Lakers, at the end of the day, they're going to be a top 4 team in the NBA. Are they going to be the team that's going to be having confetti falling them at the end? With the way Kyle Kuzma is playing and he's not 100% healthy, I'm saying no. And that sounds insane, because if you told me last year, hey, Kyle Kuzma, he's going to be your third guy on your championship roster, what would you say? I'd be like, well, I hope I have Jordan and Shaq in their primes on my team for that to happen. And LeBron, AD, great players, both top MVP candidates, which we're going to get into in my last segment today, so stay tuned for that. Talk about who I think is MVP. It's early in the season, but let's have some fun with this MVP talk, because I think you can make a case for about 10, 12 guys right now. I'll tell you my top 5 MVPs. Lakers, I still think the Clippers have a better team around them, but I would take LeBron and AD over George and Kawhi. Doesn't sound very smart, but when you have the size, the ability to go down low, and the ability to go out, and the pick and roll with LeBron, he's the best passer maybe in NBA history. I'll take that over 2 small forwards who are elite. But I mean, LeBron and AD are just on another level right now with their talent and how well they're playing. When we come back, we're going to talk about who the best team in the East is. Is it Boston, Milwaukee, Philly? I think there's another team people are not talking about that can come out of the Eastern Conference and win the Eastern Conference title this year. We'll be back soon, guys.
Check out the show that's built on the MMA. From the UFC to extreme cage fighting, they got the fights covered. Check out the GSMC MMA podcast. Get the latest news on past or upcoming fights. Join us as we talk to and about some of the biggest names in the MMA, past, present, and future. When it's the fight game, there's just one show to check out. GSMCpodcast.com/MMA-podcast. Don't forget to like them on Facebook and follow them on Twitter. Visit GSMCpodcast.com for more info.
And we're back, guys. I want to talk about the East right now. The East is very talented this year compared to years past when teams were getting in with a below 500 record. The top teams in the East right now, you have your obvious contenders. You have Milwaukee, Boston, and Philly. There's a couple teams in here that I really like that could sneak up on some people. This is going to sound weird, but we're going to eliminate pretty much 6 teams from making the playoffs. We're going to eliminate Chicago, we're going to eliminate Washington, Atlanta, Cleveland, and New York. Those teams are done. They're not making the playoffs. They're just not going to. They either have key injuries, suspensions, just a bad roster, or just don't have a chance. I left Charlotte. I like Charlotte. I kind of do. They have just a bunch of average players on a team, but they don't have they don't have a superstar, but then again, they kind of go like 8 or 9 deep, and it's kind of like, oh, all right, well, this guy's not bad, but is he the guy that's going to lead our team? Probably not. I think it's going to come down to the top 9 right now. Boston is, not Boston. Detroit right now is a 9 seed. They're just out. They're about 2.5 games out from Orlando. So the East right now is Milwaukee 1, Boston 2, Miami 3, Philly 4, Toronto, Indiana, Brooklyn, and Orlando round out the Eastern Conference. Milwaukee right now is a juggernaut. They're playing out of their minds. They are just playing dominant basketball. They're 20-3. They're 10-1 at home. They're 10-2 on the road. So that's telling me they're playing well, not only in Milwaukee, but on the road. Something scares me about this team. This isn't a team where if Giannis gets hurt, they're going to be able to stay afloat. If Giannis gets hurt, they might have a bottom 5 roster in the East. He's the whole team. Chris Middleton, nice little player, and all-star last year. He hits some open shots. He's a guy that you can trust where give him the ball. And he's shown when Giannis, did get hurt, he can carry the team for about 3, 4, 5, maybe 2 weeks of the season. Chris Middleton, he's a good player, he is, but I'm not going to trust, he's not the Klay Thompson guy. You need that number 2, like LeBron and AD. They have each other. You have the 1, you have the 2, or you have the 1A and 1B in that situation. Same with the Clippers. You have the 1A, you have the 1B situation. Golden State, you had Klay. You had Draymond. Those are guys that you could trust when you needed a stop, you needed a shot. They needed somebody to help Steph Curry before KD got back there. I don't see Chris Middleton being that dude. And Giannis is great. He's all world. He's shooting a little bit better threes now. He's only shooting like 31%, and which is fine for him considering he didn't shoot any threes last year. He needs to continue that for Milwaukee to be an elite team. He needs to be able to dribble the ball out and hit an open 3. Because last year he'd shoot a 3 and defenders would literally laugh at him. They're like, here bro, here, take this. I'm going to allow you to shoot this 3-pointer. Now he's hitting them somewhat regularity. He's not Ben Simmons bad, but he's no Splash Brother. You're never going to get him confused with that. He needs to keep developing his shot. Once he can keep developing his shot, it's going to help the team. They have some decent shooters around them. I like the Eric Bledsoe. I like the Brook Lopez who can hit some threes for him. Brook Lopez, though, when you have a 7-footer who's almost allergic to rebounding the ball, it kind of just, when I look at the team, it's like Giannis can't get every single rebound. Well, he probably could. He's long enough, he's athletic enough, he's strong enough. You just don't want your superstar having to crash the boards that hard because you don't have bigs that get rebounds, and it can be difficult on Giannis. It's going to take a toll on him because when he has to play point guard, rebound the ball, score the ball, and he doesn't score the ball like Steph Curry. We just went over that. He just doesn't. It's not easy for him. He's got to pound people down low. He's got to drive. He's got to get hit, and he can take these hits. Absolutely, the dude is a brick house. But you don't want that for 82 games, and he's not going to rest. He's not doing the stupid load management things. And this is why when we talk about MVP candidates later on in the show, he's going to be one of them. I mean, he has to be. He's just absolutely unstoppable. The big thing for me in the East is who's going to challenge Milwaukee. Is it Boston? Is it Philly? Is it Toronto? I think Boston has the best chance of beating them. They should have probably beat them last year, but with the Kyrie stuff and the locker room just not buying into Kyrie, basically, it kind of ruined the team. Now they have Kemba Walker, who I absolutely love. They have a nice roster of just good players. I mean, you have the Marcus Smarts, the Gordon Haywards, the Enes Cantors, the Jaylen Browns, the Jason Tatum. It's great. There's so much depth. But when Kemba gets in trouble in the playoffs, their team starts throwing 2 defenders at him, or, they go against a team like Milwaukee who can literally just put Giannis on him and give him hell all night. Who's gonna step up? And that's the thing. You've seen games with Tatum step up. You're like, oh, this guy's a superstar. Then you see games where like, this isn't guy. I don't want that guy. Get him out of here. And then you have Jaylen Brown who just got paid. Yeah, good for Jaylen Brown, but I'm not paying Jaylen Brown over $100 million when he's maybe the 3rd best shooting guard on that team. You didn't hear that here, but you just kind of heard that here. Yeah, guys, I like Boston. They have some good depth. They're literally one injury away from just going away. If Marcus Smart gets hurt, it sounds crazy that I said Marcus Smart over Kemba Walker. If Marcus Smart gets hurt, this team is going to be, they're going to be hurting. So if he gets hurt, the team's going to be hurt. So that's a lot of hurting going on. You don't want that much hurting in Boston right now, Patriots are a little fragile. Red Sox might be trading Mookie Betts. I'm sorry, Boston fans. I won't do that to you. I won't talk about hurting. And I'll step away from that. Boston legitimately, I think, has the best chance coming out of the East. They have depth. They have a great coach. They have a superstar in Kemba. They just need Tatum to continue to get better. I mean, once the dude realizes his potential and he takes over. He gets too passive. There's games where he just gets too passive. You need him to be like, dude, take this ball, put it in the hoop, stop being passive. Everyone likes you already. Stop doing this. Toronto is surprisingly good this year. I don't know if it's because they have, people are just kind of sleeping on him a little bit because Kawhi, but Siakam, man, that dude's a monster. You guys watch, do yourself a favor. Next time the Raptors are on TV, watch Siakam. The dude is a monster. He's long, he's athletic, he's so good at basketball that you wonder how it took him this long to develop in the NBA. Toronto's a sleeper team, but I don't really trust. I love Van Fleet. I do. Trust me. I have him everywhere in my fantasy teams. I think he was great last year. I think he should be starting over Kyle Lowry, who's just not Kyle Lowry. I mean, the dude's been there his whole career. He won your title. Pay him. I appreciate that, and he should get all of his money. I don't see him making a deep run. They'll probably get to the second round. They could definitely get to the second round. Depends who they match up with. Philadelphia, love Philly. I think the most talented roster, the best starting five in the NBA, but they have very big concerns. They are not a good, efficient offensive team. When you have a team full of players who can't shoot well, it's going to come back to haunt you, and it kind of is. They're kind of winning with just force and having a great roster. When it comes down to the NBA playoffs and you can't hit threes or, Ben Simmons and Embiid, it just isn't working. It's just not. You can say what you want. You can't have that duo of players and their games don't mesh that well together. You need someone that can just take over. And Embiid needs to get the ball in the post. He's leading the league in post touches per game in 10. But when Ben Simmons can't develop that jump shot, it's hurting the rest of his teammates. It really is. Miami's a nice little story. They're not going to finish as a 3 seed. They're just not. They're going to be the 4 or 5. I think the East right now is going to be Milwaukee, Philly, Boston, Miami, Toronto, Indiana. I like that. Brooklyn's going to be in there, but again, until they get KD back, it's going to be really tough. When we come back, we're going to talk about which teams have been the biggest disappointment this year. We have a couple. We'll break it down when we come back after break.
Check out the show built around the women of MMA. From the UFC to the extreme cage fighting, we got the fights covered.
Listen.
It's the Golden State Media Concepts Women's MMA Podcast. The latest news of upcoming fights, discussions of previous matches. Join us as we talk to and about the biggest names in women's mixed martial arts. Past, present, and future. When it's the women's fight game, you know where to listen to. The Golden State Media Concepts Women's MMA Podcast.
We are back, and guys, again, I would like for you guys to like, review, subscribe on Facebook, Twitter. I don't think we have a MySpace, but guys, if you guys are still using MySpace, I'll hook up a GSMC MySpace page. We can all just get together. I'll put you guys all in my top 8. I don't care. I don't think most of the people listening to this even knew what MySpace was. That was before Facebook and all the cool guys had it, and you could put some music on there. It's pretty cool back in the day. Now it looks like dinosaurs ran it. But please like, subscribe, review, leave a review on the show. Let my bosses know if I'm doing a good job, if I'm helping you guys get to work on the West Coast and the East Coast and New York, LA. Help me help you guys. Let me know what you need. The biggest disappointments. There's really surprisingly not too many starting off the season. I mean, unless you're a Knicks fan, the Knicks were bad. But worst record in the NBA at 4-19 bad? Ugh, I mean, the Hawks are better than them. Cleveland's better than them. It's kind of like, ooh, buddy. we're going to talk about disappointments, and the one that really sticks out to me right now is Portland. Portland's 9-15. You know things are bad in Portland when you had to bring in Carmelo Anthony. Now look, I think Carmelo should be in the NBA. There's nothing wrong with that. I think he's still an efficient scorer. That's all he is at this point, though. He's not a good defender. He yells at guys to get rebounds. He kind of does that Russell Westbrook, the Russell Westbrook thing where he kind of just charges at his teammates to get rebounds. They were in the Western Conference Finals last year. Now they have a worse record than Sacramento, Minnesota, Phoenix, Oklahoma City. I think they're still going to be in it, and they're not going to be a team that somebody wants to play in the first round. But if you're going to sneak in as a 7-8 seed in the West, you're not going to beat LA's. You're just not going to beat either LA. You're just not. They're going to lock down Dame. They're going to make, not lock down, you can't really lock down Dame Lillard, but you can make life extremely difficult by throwing Avery Bradley, Rondo, even, you throw Danny Green at him, and then you make the rest of the guys beat him. The team, that's what's going to end up happening when the team gets to the playoffs. They're very disappointing. Golden State, man, that happened quick, huh, guys? You can't really say they're disappointment because obviously we knew Klay wasn't going to play. Draymond has these random injuries where it's kind of like, oh, coach, my finger hurts. I can't play my finger. And Steve Kerr's like, bro, you're not going to play with a hurt finger. All right, just sit. We're not going to deal with this right now. And my MVP candidate to start the season, Steph Curry. We'll talk about now in a little bit who the current MVP favorites are towards the end of the show. It's just not. It happened fast. You blinked your eyes. KD left and a couple injuries, and now the Golden State Warriors have a 5-19 record. They're going to be fine. They're going to get a high draft pick. They're going to get Steph back. They're going to get Klay back. They're going to have Draymond back. With those three healthy at the same time, they're still the Golden State Warriors. They're still going to be a top seed. They're still going to run stuff. And now with this high draft pick, they can do some damage next year. I mean, I'm a betting guy. I don't know if a lot of you guys are. If you guys want to make a lot of money, do a futures bet with Golden State. Say they're not going to win the title this year, but in 2021, put your money on Golden State because they're going to have a healthy Steph, Draymond, Klay, and they're going to get a stud. They're going to get a top 5 pick, and you had a top 5 pick with those studs. They're going to be something special next year. Portland's been disappointed. San Antonio, they're 9-14 as well, but it's kind of hard to be like, yeah, they're a disappointment. They have aging superstar LaMarcus Aldridge, who's still very, very good. They still have DeMar DeRozan, who I don't think really fits in with that team, but he still can get buckets. He's still a legitimate player. I don't see him as a disappointment, but some may. You know what? You know who really disappointed me this year? The Atlanta Hawks. And I'm kind of half kidding when I'm saying this. They had 2 first-round picks last year. They have Cam Reddish. They have DeAndre Hunter. They have the number 4 and I believe the number 9 picks this year. One of the problems with the Hawks is you can't just keep adding all these first-round talents and expect them to gel together. Trae Young, say what you want about him, he's panned out pretty well for him. John Collins the year before, number 17 pick out of Wake Forest, he's doing great right now. He's suspended, so that's really hurting him. But that should tell you something. When you lose John Collins for that amount of time and your team is this bad, it kind of tells you where your roster is. And, they brought in Jabari Parker, who's not the guy he used to be, but he still buckets off the bench. To be 6-17 with basically 5 first-round picks in the last 2 drafts, 3 drafts, and still to be this bad, you're kind of just scratching your head. You're like, this team shouldn't be this bad. They shouldn't be 11 games below 500 this early in the year. Now, Trae Young, he leads the league in holding the ball per game. I think it's like he holds the ball for like 9 minutes a game, which he probably should, considering there's no one else on that team that really can handle the ball once he's off the court. They're the number 1 offensive team, not number 1. They're like top 4 or 5 in the East when Trae Young's on the court. When he's off the court, they're literally the worst team in basketball. And that goes back to not having a reliable point guard off the bench. I mean, they let Jabari Parker dribble the ball up court. They let Bombay, Jared, what's the guy from Mighty Ducks? Bombay. They let him bring the ball up court. And it's just like, oh, man, it's that ugly. They don't have a veteran point guard. They need to go out and get like a Tyreek Evans, a Jamal Crawford, bring them in, let them handle the ball when Trae's not in, because Trey thinks that he's Steph Curry, and he's a very good player. But when he shoots from half court all the time, and he's got to force up these shots all the time, he's going to be a very good player. Comparing him to Steph Curry is kind of a lazy comp, but the expectation is that he is Steph Curry, and he needs to kind of take some better shots. And just he's forced into taking these bad shots now, so I can't really blame the guy. Once they put more talent around him, again, it's the same thing with R.J. Barrett and the Knicks. When you have average talent around a young, biting superstar, it's gonna hurt the superstar, because when he's looking around and he's got to pass, he's like, should I take this 35-foot jumper, or should I pass the ball to Jabari Parker, who basically is going to eat this basketball and not let anyone else have it? I think I'll shoot this shot now. Another disappointing team, which is going to sound so weird, is Utah. They're 13-10. I mean, you tell Utah Jazz fans that they're going to be 3 games in 500 and a 6th seed, and you're like, oh yeah, let's go Utah. Let's just be average. But I think Utah is going to sound a little crazy cuckoo, but I think Utah can win the whole thing. They got everything that you want. They got an elite stopper in defense in Gobert. They have an elite scorer in Donovan Mitchell. The Mike Conley thing's really not working out to this point, and I don't know why. I mean, the guy succeeded in Memphis, where there was very little talent around him, except for in the prime when they had the Gasols, the Randolphs, the Tony Allens. I mean, the last couple of years, it's been awful in Memphis, but he still did his thing. He still scored 21 points, had 6 or 7 assists with basically nobody around him. Now you put him in Utah, and it's like, I understand you have to get used to the new system, you have to get used to the new city and all this stuff. He was in one team his whole career, but come on, like, just hasn't looked good. He's gotten games where he shot like 1 for 17, and you're like, this is not the guy that they've traded for. And let's be honest, they gave up nothing to get Mike Conley. They gave up nothing. They gave up Grayson Allen and maybe a pick. That's nothing for his caliber of talent. I still think Utah should be the top 3 seed. I think they're better than Houston. I think they're better than Dallas. I don't know if they're better than Denver. Denver, I think, is going to make a nice little run here in the next couple of weeks and kind of vault themselves up into the 3 or 4 seed. But Utah, man, they have depth, they have shooting, they have scores, they have defense, they have everything that you want in an NBA team is in Utah. It's being in Utah. If you put that Utah team in Houston, they would be the probably most talked about team in the NBA. But since they're in Utah, they're out there in Mormon country, people are like, oh yeah, it's Utah, whatever. I mean, they couldn't win with Stockton Malone. Well, how can they win with these guys? Well, they don't have Jordan to worry about. And they have the depth. They have Boban, or not Boban, they have Bogdanovich. They have, Joe Ingles. They have guys that can shoot. They have guys that can help out the Mike Conleys and the Devin Mitchells. Right now, they're a disappointment to me, but just because maybe my expectations were too high. I still love Utah. I still think Utah is going to be a dangerous team in the playoffs. They have depth. Again, having Rudy Gobert down low kind of stops teams that can't shoot, like Philly or even the Lakers for the most part. They're not really a 3-point team. When you have to go against Gobert, it's really going to be difficult for them to kind of score on you, and it's going to wear down opposing teams when it comes to the playoffs. Now, we talked about the disappointment teams. I want to get off, the stat train. Let's get back on the happy train. Let's talk about the biggest surprises when we come back from break. And remember, guys, I would really like for you guys to like, subscribe, review. Let me know, let my bosses know what you guys like about this and what we can improve. We'll be right back.
Are you looking to get your college football fix? Looking to get the latest news on your favorite school's team? The GSMC College Football Podcast is your ticket to all things college football. Join us as we talk college football from the national championship, the college rivalries, the bowl game, to the Heisman Trophy. To which conference is the best? We've got you covered for the Big Ten, SEC, Big 12, the Pac-12, ACC, and everything in between. Download the GSMC College Football Podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, Google Play, or anywhere you find podcasts. Just type GSMC in the search bar.
But hey, we're one step closer. We got, 15 more days of Christmas? 16 more days? Which I love this time of year, don't get me wrong. It's the greatest time of the year. I have a young daughter. My fiance, we just love this time of the year, making these traditions. So let's get back to the biggest surprise so far. My biggest surprise, the Dallas Mavericks, Luka Doncic. Now, I like a team that's very bad at basketball. They had a very high draft pick last year. They decided not to draft Luka Doncic, and it makes me sad because I saw the talent when he was playing European basketball. There's something about this guy. He was young, he was athletic, he was confident, he could do anything he wanted on the basketball court, and he was doing it at such a young age. Say what you want about the European players. You can say they stink, you can say they're overrated, but that's real basketball out there. I mean, it's not NBA level caliber basketball, but those guys over there, a lot of them played in the NBA. A lot of them are just good, solid basketball players, and he was doing this at 19 years old. He was going over there 18 years old and just dominating these guys. Not dominating, but he was doing it where you were like, all right, this guy is going to be the real deal. When someone does it that young and has that kind of game, you just knew he was going to be a superstar. I didn't think he was going to be this good. This is insane. The guy is just lighting the NBA up, and he's so good that people are just comparing him to James Harden already. It's like, are you kidding me? James Harden, the MVP, who probably should have multiple MVPs, and it's just like, wow, okay, well, this guy, Luka Doncic, what do you guys think his stats are? What do you think are his stats? I mean, the guy's averaging 30 points, 9 rebounds, 9 assists. 39 and 9. And he's doing it with very little talent around him. The guy is amazing, guys. I didn't think he was going to be this good. I don't think anybody thought he was going to be this good. Dallas is 16-7 with basically Luka Doncic carrying them night in and night out. They have nice pieces around them. They have some, Porzingis has been a great addition to him, even though he's not 100% yet. I really like Dallas. I do. I don't think they're going to be a 3 seed. I think they're going to fall down to around maybe the 5 or the 6 seed, which is nothing wrong with that. And, Mark Cuban is a guy that doesn't like to draft high in the draft, but when he does, he nails it, and he nailed it with Luka Doncic. Another surprising team, maybe the some, but not really me, are the Indiana Pacers. I love the Pacers. I love their team. I love their balance. They might be the deepest team in the NBA. And they went out and added Malcolm Brogdon, which was shocking that Milwaukee didn't sign him. Since Milwaukee lost him, I thought, ooh, that's a good player. I mean, he's doing work this year. I don't know if you even realize what Malcolm Brogdon is doing. Malcolm Brogdon right now is doing things that he showed in Milwaukee. Dude is averaging 19, 5, and 7, up from his numbers for his career, which are 13, 4, and 4, basically. So he's averaging 19, 5, and 7. I don't know why he's not talked about in the most improved player, but he's a guy that can just, he's somebody that can do a little bit of everything. I mean, he can rebound, he can be the point guard, he can lock down somebody for, he's not a lockdown defender, but he can play some decent defense. He's really vaulted Indiana into this upper tier of the East. I think once Victor Oladipo comes back, that's going to be a team that you do not want to go against. They have 2 bigs in Miles Turner and Sabonis who can really get buckets, and they're not awful defenders, but they're not guys that you can just attack. They have Indiana's a team that really surprises me, and that even surprises. It's just I'm shocked that they met my expectations. This is what I thought they would be. They would be the 4, 5, or 6 seed, and they're doing it without Victor Oladipo. It's impressive. Talking about impressive teams, Toronto. Are you kidding me? I thought Toronto would maybe win 30 games this year without Kawhi. It was literally Kawhi Leonard that carried them in the playoffs last year with the key role players. The thing is, when you have those key role players, and then the superstar goes. It goes 2 ways. They either go back to being the average NBA player, or they vault their game up to start being, most improved, MVP caliber, and that's what these guys are doing. Siakam and Van Fleet have been amazing this year. If you told somebody at the beginning of the year, yeah, Toronto's gonna, they're gonna stay in the top 4 seeds in the Eastern Conference, be like, oh wow, Marcus Gasol and Kyle Lowry, those vets are really taking it personal. People are saying they aren't going to be good. Kyle Lowry's, I've never been a big Kyle Lowry guy. He's bad. He's not bad. At this point in his career, he got his title. He's maybe put on a couple pounds, but there's nothing wrong with that. Dude, enjoy your life. You won a title with the Toronto Raptors. Good for you. Marcus Gasol, they signed him for huge money, but who else were they going to give that money to? People don't realize that you have to spend a certain amount of money in the NBA. If you don't spend that certain amount of money, the owners actually have to pay the players more, and the owners don't want to have to pay their players that they already have more. So when they had this huge contract to kind of fill, they said, hey, Mark, you came here, you helped us win a title, here's $30 million for a year, just be productive. He's getting older, he's a big dude, those guys usually don't age well in the NBA, but you don't have to be the dominant Marcus Gasol. Just be a presence in the locker room, be a presence on the court when you're out there, and that's what they're doing. Are they 8 games above 500 good? I don't know. I don't know if they're going to win 55 games this year, but if you tell me they went 45 and 38 or something like that, I wouldn't be mad. That's awful math. Am I at 44? Let's see. It would be 44 and 38. So Toronto's, they're a big surprise to me. I know people don't want to believe that, but they are. It's hard for me to say that Oklahoma and Phoenix are surprise teams when they're both below 500 in the playoffs. But Phoenix, doing this without Ayton, who's took a little bit of maybe a needle into his arm or did some kind of PED, it's a little bit surprising. But again, I feel like they do this every year. They get off to a decent start. Devin Booker is that dude who I love Devin Booker. I just don't trust the team. I really don't. Kelly Oubre's nice. Ricky Rubio was a very underrated signing going into the season because once Devin Booker had to be the point guard, it got ugly for him, and it got ugly for him quick. So, I like Phoenix. I don't. I just lied to you guys. I apologize. I really apologize. I don't want to start this, this host-listener podcast off of me lying to you. Phoenix is awful. It's Devin Booker. That's it. Kelly Oubre will have a good game here or there. They have, Mikal Bridges, whatever. It's just nothing special in Phoenix. They're going to be Phoenix. I don't think they're making the playoffs. OKC, they're a little bit of a surprise considering they got rid of 2 MVP candidates in Paul George and Russell Westbrook. Chris Paul, I don't think is finishing the year there. His contract's going to be hard to move, but he's going to end up in Miami or Dallas or something, where a team that needs a point guard, and they just he's going to end up in Miami. It's going to be him and Jay Butt out in Miami doing their thing. Sean, Gilgeous-Alexander is a very good player. Shea. He's a good player. They have, again, I love teams with that defensive anchor, and they have that in Steven Adams. They don't really have a lot on that roster to get too excited about, but they're the 7th seed. That's good for them. I didn't think they even thought they'd be contending this year. I still think Minnesota is going to pass them. I think Sacramento's got a decent little team there, but they're not going to pass them. I still think Portland's going to pass them, so that's going to leave these 2 teams out. I think OKC and Phoenix are going to be outside looking in. I think Minnesota and Portland are going to jump in. Again, I know you guys are probably like, dude, stop telling me to subscribe, and leave a review, but please, guys, do this. Help me out. I promise you, if I get 50,000 5-star reviews, I will stop asking for reviews. I promise. 50,000 Scots. I don't know who Scott is. Scouts honor. You guys leave me some good reviews. 50,000 of them be like, oh, this dude's the bomb, or something along those lines. Hey, you can even trash me if you want. You can be like, this guy's a bum, or you can say this guy's got a big old head in the reviews. You can say whatever you want, but leave a 5-star review, and then tell me something about my big old head. I'm fine with that. I'm perfectly fine with that. Just leave a 5-star review, and that's all I'm looking for right now. That's what people want to see. Now, I kind of teased it earlier. We have some MVP candidates. I have some dark horse MVPs. I have some obvious MVPs. When we come back, we'll talk about them.
Tired of searching the vast jungle of podcasts? Now listen close and hear this out. There's a podcast network that covers just about everything that you've been searching. Hey! The Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network is here. Nothing less than a podcast bliss with endless hours of podcast coverage. From news, sports, music, fashion, cooking, entertainment, fantasy, football, and so much more. So stop lurking around and go straight out to the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network. Guaranteed to fill that podcast itch. Whatever it may be. Visit us at www.gsmcpodcast.com. Follow us on Facebook and Twitter, and download us on iTunes, SoundCloud, and Google Play.
Welcome back, guys. So we're going to talk MVP candidates right now. And the thing is, there's some obvious ones. You have the Luka Doncic's, you have the James Hardens, you have the ADs. Those guys are all amazing NBA basketball players, and they all deserve it. If I had a vote right now, I would choose Luka over both of them, because you put AD on Dallas, guess who they are? They're Pelicans. You put Harden on Dallas, guess who they are? I don't even want to know. I don't think Mark Cuban's head would allow him to dribble the ball for 20 seconds and then shoot it. I think Mark Cuban's head would fall off on the sidelines. Watching Luka play just is a great thing to do. He complains a little bit too much to the refs, which he kind of said something in the press today about like, I need to back off, giving the refs a hard time, because he does get fouled, but everyone in the NBA gets fouled. It's not like he's the first person in NBA history to get fouled. He just does it. He's a great rebounder. He's a 6'7" guy who just likes to attack the glass. I mean, you don't see that. He goes at the boards with like a Russell Westbrook type integrity that you're like, oh, damn, okay, well, get that board, young fella. You go get that and you dribble it up court, and that's what he does. He gets the rebound, he dribbles it up court. He'll hit that little Euro step back, or he'll pass it to somebody and get him. You know, he doesn't have a lot of talent around him besides Porzingis, and even Porzingis is a 7'3" guy who just basically shoots threes now, which he's turning into Brook Lopez, which is not what Dallas fans want to hear. He's basically turning into Brook Lopez. James Harden, look, the numbers are amazing. They're absolutely amazing. He's changing the way that people score in the NBA with a step back, with the runners and the driving to the lane and doing all this. It's just boring basketball to watch. It's like there's a lot of Houston games on TV, which there should be. They have him, they have Westbrook, they have 2 MVPs. But when he just dribbles, does it again, drives, gets fouled. Okay, all right, that happens. Same thing, dribble. Oh, step back 3. Okay, that's cool. Dribble. Oh, he gets fouled again. It's every time. And it's not like, call me old-fashioned, but I like when my MVPs play a little bit of defense, just like a little bit, just try on defense. And I heard this thing saying that Harden's like, oh, I love playing defense. Like, bro, you don't like playing defense, and you shouldn't have to play defense because you dribble the ball for 20 seconds at every single possession. You need your energy to score the ball, and that's the only reason why Houston's winning. Westbrook has been very average at best. His shooting he's gotten even worse. He's forcing things. He's playing at 1,000 miles per hour. Once you turn 30, trust me, and you play basketball, you kind of lose that little explosiveness. Westbrook is maybe hitting that point now where he's kind of like, ooh, I kind of lost a step here and there, but it's not like every game. It's like, you'll see it like randomly against like Phoenix. He'll go for a dunk and he'll kind of just go for a layup. He's like, oh, all right, well, that's not me anymore. He's got a Harden. I wouldn't vote for him for my MVP. He might be like my 4th or 5th at this point. Now, AD's being a monster, and everyone that has ever watched a game of basketball knew that AD would be the best player in the NBA once he hit 25, 26, 27 years old. And he's starting to get to that point now where he's such a force defensively that he's becoming probably the most valuable player in the NBA. He's just so good at scoring the ball. He's good at stopping the best bigs or even wing players from scoring. And he's doing it in LA. I think a lot of people didn't think he'd be able to carry this over to LA. Big bright lights, all this, blah, blah, blah. The dude is just doing his thing, and I love AD. I love him. If he can just stay healthy for a whole season, he's going to win MVP this year. He is. He's going to get the LA voters votes. He's going to get the media votes for just being in a big time market, just doing his thing. And there's nothing wrong with that. I personally would vote for Luka. If Dallas makes it in the top 5 seeds, I would vote for Luka Doncic for the MVP. That's just me. You have obvious Giannis. I mean, it's kind of like you don't get bored of greatness. You just kind of expect it. I'm expecting him to do this, so it's kind of like, yeah, it's Giannis. That's what he's supposed to do. He's supposed to get these rebounds. He's supposed to score 30 points a game. He's supposed to be an elite defender. He's supposed to dunk on players, and that's perfectly fine. I just think what Luka's doing right now is more impressive than what Giannis is doing. Now, if Milwaukee ends up winning 65 games, which they won't, but if they ended up winning 60 to 65 games and he's keeping up this pace, it's going to be a tough one. I mean, Giannis is great. He really is. He's amazing. He's doing his thing, and I would still give it to Luka. I really would. Luka's just been that dude. Now, there's some other guys that you can talk about. You know, LeBron. I have no problem. If LeBron probably should have won more MVPs than he should have. It's kind of like it's like the Mike Trout syndrome. Best player in the league. Everyone knows he's the best player in the league. So we can't give him MVP every year, can we? LeBron should have about 7 MVPs right now. Voters just want Westbrook because of the triple doubles or Harden because of the scoring, which is perfectly fine. They absolutely deserve those. LeBron, who do you give more credit for, Lakers fans? Do you give it to LeBron for just sticking around and just realizing that, like, hey, get me AD. Like, that's all he was asking for. Get me AD, and I'll show you that I can still play defense. I can still carry a team. That's what he's doing. LeBron for MVP, I think that was going to fall off. I think Milwaukee's going to go down a little bit. I still think they're going to be the 1 seed. But if the Lakers end up with the best record and they do it by like 5, 6, 7 games in the West, you have to think LeBron. You really do. The guy is just, I don't care what you say. You can compare him to Jordan. You can compare him to Kobe. You can compare him to all these greats. As a whole, as a perfect, if you were playing 2K and you played a My Player and you try to create a My Player, you want your guy to be LeBron James. Big, fast, physical. He can shoot. You can say what you want about him. The dude can shoot. He can hit the open 3. He doesn't take a lot. That's kind of probably why he's not a Steph Curry 3-point shooter, but he knocks them down, and that's what you need. He plays defense now. He's maybe the best passer in NBA history. He just sees the floor in a different way than other people do. He's just so great, and it's sad that his career is coming to an end because I don't think people appreciated him. They can make jokes about the Miami thing. They can make jokes about his hairline. They can make jokes about this. They can make jokes about that. LeBron is still the man. He's the most underappreciated, overrated superstar of all time, depending on who you ask. You ask some people, oh, LeBron, boom. He just does it. He's just faster and stronger than everyone. Guys, he won a title with the Cleveland Cavaliers. The Cleveland Cavaliers. Are you kidding me? Him, Kevin Love, and Kyrie. A lot of it was LeBron carrying them, but those two helped him, and LeBron carried a title. I can't emphasize that enough. Cleveland Cavaliers won an NBA championship because of LeBron James. He needs to be considered for your MVP, guys. He does. You hate him, like him, love him, don't care for him. He's got to get some votes. He's got to get your attention. He's just that good. Again, some dark horses that could jump in late. You know, you got the Kawhis, you got the Paul Georges, you got the Embiids, you got the Ben Simmons. Those guys can all step up and start getting some MVP votes. It's just they all either have holes in their game, they just don't bring it, or they're just been hurt and they're coming back from injuries. Kawhi is going to be tough for him to win an MVP with him resting every other night, which is frustrating. We'll get on that next episode. Paul George, when he's healthy, he's had double shoulder surgery. You like that singing? I got my little bit of a singing voice there. But those are guys that can get some MVP votes. I still think Utah is going to be great. I still think Indiana is going to be there. Denver is maybe the best roster in NBA, so keep an eye out on them. Guys, this was an amazing experience. I am loving the fact that I can bring this to you almost daily for basketball. Monday, Wednesday, Fridays, I'll be bringing you a basketball and football podcast. Tuesday, Thursdays, I'll bring you a little bit of college football and fantasy talk. So the fantasy talk for you football guys, we'll talk basketball, we'll talk baseball. The fantasy podcast is going to be fun. That's kind of my wheelhouse. I can't thank you guys enough for this. Please like, review, and subscribe to the show. Again, guys, I need that to kind of help me. And my big bosses upstairs to kind of see how I'm doing. I want to thank you for listening to the GSMC Football Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Podcast Network. Again, like, review, and subscribe. And also, if you can follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Thank you guys, and have a good night.
You've been listening to the Golden State Media Concepts Basketball Podcast, part of the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network. You can find this show and others like it at www.gsmcpodcast.com. Download our podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, and Google Play. Just type in GSMC to find all the shows from the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network, from movies to music, from sports to entertainment, and even weird news. You can also follow us on Twitter and on Facebook. Thank you, and we hope you have enjoyed today's program.